Hey, good morning, morning. Let's see. Oh man, we got Digian and Tyre and Afternoon Fury. Good morning, people. Morning and afternooners. Okay. Yes, I want to get to the yay or nay on the House term limits, but some other things have popped up here real quick this morning that I want to cover real quick. All right. Let's go with this first one. And considering I wasn't planning on streaming today, uh, New York City has paid $5 billion on illegal immigrants. $5 billion. Now, I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry. I feel sorry for New York City residents and New York residents who are footing that bill. But think of all the better ways that money could have been spent besides on illegals. Illegals. Let me say that again for the people in the back. People who entered the country illegally. People who came into our country ignoring our laws and then demanding that we house them, feed them, give them cell phones, internet connections, and then later on demand that we allow their families to be brought into the country. And just one city has spent $5 billion. Think of the money that has been spent countrywide, nationwide. If one city has spent $5 billion, how much have we spent nationwide on illegal immigrants? Money that could have been spent to house our own homeless, to feed our own homeless, to take care of our senior citizens, to improve our infrastructure. We hear how our infrastructure is falling apart. How much could have been improved with that? New York's infrastructure could have been improved with that $5 billion. How many of New York's homeless could have been housed and fed and medicated for that $5 billion? Yeah, that is just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I got a digi. Got a community strike. So I've got to be careful what I say over TikTok here. I got a community strike day before yesterday. I appealed it and lost for saying deport all illegals, no education, no jobs, no housing. For all illegals and their families, deport them all. And I got a community strike for offensiveness, for being offensive. Good morning, Ramen.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Can hear you just fine.
Oh my God. I feel like a peasant. How are you?
I'm doing just fine considering that I went into work last night and got told, "Oh, you didn't get the schedule change? You're not working tonight.
Oh,
You're working Thursday and Friday night this week instead of Tuesday and Saturday."
that's racist, Joe. That's all that is. Okay, now for a minute, I thought you were gonna say like I'm feeling great for somebody that's got internet and throw it in my face and everything. But okay, we're good.
I don't throw stuff in your face, Ramen. You know that.
You never did. I know you're real good about it, but I've been having crap luck all week, so you
I
know
I try to be nice.
you are always very nice. You are a gentleman.
Okay. Well, that's questionable, but that's besides the point.
Ah, don't ruin it for me.
uh, and Fury, as you said, silly season is upon us. Now,
Uh,
the other day, I went on a rant, on a diatribe
about
about Waltz and his what I consider to be stolen valor.
totally is.
Okay, and as it should happen to be, uh, Waltz almost respond. I mean, he almost responded to me. Okay, let
Uh
let's
huh.
let let's listen to what this man said.
Okay.
I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country.
Ew.
If you're so proud
Sorry.
about it, why did you lie about it?
Exactly.
If you, I spent my 20 years either working on F-15s, hands on, working in maintenance debrief, discussing issues with pilots, and making certain the jets were actually broke before we sent the people out to waste their time fixing them, or overseeing a $12 million annual budget and accounting for $12 million down to the penny. Okay, that was where I spent my 20 years. None of it's fancy, a lot of long hours, but a lot of fun. I retired out as an E6, a tech sergeant. I didn't even make top. I didn't even make top three. I didn't even make it into the top three ranks. Okay, that's
Mhm.
fine. All right. I'm proud of my service, but I don't lie about it. I don't lie
There you
about what
go.
I did or didn't do. Why do you lie? Why have you lied about your service if you're so damn proud of what you actually did? Anybody that lies about what they did while they're in the military is not proud of what they actually did because they're trying to either hide something or enhance it. All right. So let's go on with the rest of what he had to say here.
Oh God.
And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. Anyone?
I will denigrate anybody that lies about their service record. If you lie about your service record, I will be all over you like white on rice.
Mm,
I will destroy you as best I can when you lie about your record. If you're honest about your record, I'm not going to denigrate you because everybody's job, be you from a paper pusher to somebody to actually doing maintenance to somebody that's being a line cook. Everybody's job is important in the military in one way, shape, and or form, with the exception of DEI idiots. Anybody involved in DEI, you're not important. I would lie about what I did rather than admit I worked in DEI.
but Kamala.
Okay, but anybody else, man, your job was important, so don't lie about it.
Brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
I'll thank you for what you actually did if you were honest about it. But at this point, I can't thank you because you lied.
But look, then in 2005, I felt the call.
Okay. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Raman?
No, my daughter came in here. I'm sorry. I don't have the
Oh.
headset on because this is my phone.
My internet.
Okay.
We'll fix it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, now we all know Musk and Trump had their little 2-hour spiel the other night, of which I listened to 99.9% of it. The wife asked me some questions, so I missed some of it. The wife one that interrupted me. Okay, but our network that likes to lie to people CNN host caught editing Trump-Musk conversation. So CNN edited a portion of the Monday interview. According to CNN, this deceptive interview editing, at one point in the interview, both Musk and Trump had made it seem that the World War II bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were no big deal. Trump's 2024 campaign officials account on social media shared CNN's truth twisting footage on Tuesday with the full clip showing the two said nothing of the kind. What they weren't talking about the bombings of Hiroshima. They're talking about nuclear energy providing electricity to houses. But
Wow,
Dana Bash, or no, Musk. That looks like Dana Bash, but it's not. But Musk, I'm sorry. That is Dana Bash anyway. So anyway, the people lie. I mean, CNN sitting there actually falsely editing. Now, what's this about fake news, misinformation, and deceptive information? And remember the reporter? I showed that in clip of the reporter asking KJP what the White House was going to do about Musk and misinformation and deceptiveness.
Uh-oh.
Right? Was it Musk that did the deceptiveness, or was it the White House's favorite news outlet, CNN, being deceptive and attempting to spread misinformation?
I joined late. I don't know who was in the clip.
So, now this was the you missed that the other day. It was during one of KJP's press conferences, and a reporter, I don't know his name, a African American reporter,
Okay.
stood up and said, "What Trump is going to be on Elon's thing this afternoon. What is the White House going to do about the misinformation they're going to spread in the campaign year?"
Uh-oh.
And of course JP gave a good answer. There's nothing they can do. They're private companies, and what they say is what they say. So at least she was honest about it.
For one.
Yeah, for once. All right. And CNN, they just don't. The other day, I gave an article, and I hate this, but seeing that I'm having to backtrack on articles, but this is what I get for trusting CNN.
Oh.
I shared a CNN story about Iranian hackers and how they had infiltrated Roger Stone's computer. Well, Roger Stone had a response. "Sorry, I never responded to any phishing email from Iran, nor do I have or have I ever had an AOL account.
Oh.
I don't get my news from the same reason I don't eat out of the toilet."
Oh.
And see, and there's
Wow.
the headline that CNN put out back 2 days ago. Suspected Iranian hackers breached Roger Stone's personal emails in an effort to target Trump campaign. Now, I can't say I never had an AOL account because I did way back in the day when that was
Yep.
the easiest way to get online.
Hell, I had CompuServe. Nobody's even heard of that anymore.
So, okay, what's this next one I got? Oh, I'm trying to, I know I'm going through these rather quickly, but I want to get to the other two, the main two here. But these are ones that popped up that need to be just, at least people made aware of happening.
Mhm.
Now, we hear the Democrats yelling and screaming about misinformation and lying and disinformation and all this other neat crap.
Mhm.
The Harris campaign has been editing news headlines and descriptions within Google search ads to make it appear as if The Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, and other major publishers are on her side. While it's common practice in commercial advertising world that doesn't violate Google's policies, but the ads mimic real news results from search close enough they have news outlets caught off guard. According to Google's Ad Transparency Center, the Trump campaign isn't running these ads, but this technique has been used by ads before. So they're sitting there taking out ads in Google, and when you do a Google search, you get you see this Reuters ad, okay? You don't realize, don't necessarily. Now, I've learned to look to see if it's a sponsored thing, and I skip it if it is. But inflation is down. Reuters, inflation is down.
That's a damn
CNN,
lot.
who is Kamala Harris? NPR, Harris will lower health costs.
Another
She's,
lie.
Let's see here. What's this? W Day Radio Now. Harris picks. Okay, well, Harris picks Tim Walz. 215,000 Minnesota families win. This is shady as hell.
No.
This I mean, come on. This is just shady. Talk about making false news. And then, then to top it off, we got old Kamala's ads. And have you've seen that ad that she's ran? Because it's been all over the place of her with all the sheriffs and police departments. And it looks like they're all supporting her. Right? Sheriff who was shown in Kamala Harris ad reveals truth about the featured clip, that it was deceiving to say the least.
Uh-oh.
In an interview with Fox News' Lawrence B. Jones on Tuesday, Sheriff Mike Boudreau of Tule County, California, described his brief appearance in a recent campaign ad for Vice President Kamala Harris as deceiving to say the least. The campaign ad in question featured a male voiceover touting Harris's record on crime on the border. Jones showed part of the dishonest ad and then introduced the outraged Boudreaux. Well, I can tell you here in California, we're ready for somebody who's going to support law enforcement. Then Boudreaux denounced the ad as deceptive. I remember this particular case, referring to the occasion when he and his fellow law enforcement officers worked for the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA. And the issue was, in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room.
Wow.
So, and yeah. So for me in law enforcement, see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris.
Young Mark.
Then went on to say former President Donald Trump, not Harris, best represents a pro-law enforcement position in the 2024 election. So I think this is the ad here.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state, Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime.
That was the sheriff there in the very beginning of the ad.
I see.
So, yeah, he was more than a little ticked off at Kamala.
Mm.
All right. Oh, Chick-fil-A fans.
What?
If you're a Chick-fil-A fan, they are bringing back the banana pudding milkshake.
I didn't know that even existed.
It has not existed for 13 years.
Oh, that. I'll go there 13 years today. Okay. Damn, now I want that.
It's a seasonal menu item, will only be available for a limited time. So
Thank you for letting me know.
So I will be hitting. Let's see. They're also going to have the banana frosted coffee.
Oh,
A cold brew coffee with ice cream mixed in with banana and vanilla wafer cookie crumbles.
okay, you lost me at cookie crumbles, but yeah.
Oh, you don't like vanilla wafers?
I like them, just not in my coffee. I want to drink my coffee, not chew it, you know?
Okay. Well, they're available until from August 26th to November 16th.
Oh, hell yes.
So I will be hitting the honey pepper pimento chicken sandwich will also be there.
I don't actually like their chicken. I know it's weird. I don't like their chicken.
They're passable. I mean, if I can't get Popeyes, I have Chick-fil-A's second. If I can't get, if my sister's down here, I have to go to Chick-fil-A. So,
Here's the thing.
It's okay.
Okay, their mac and cheese is the closest thing that you're going to get to homemade that's sold out of, like pre-cooked, whatever. My kids like the waffle fries. Okay, fine. But I tried their chicken sandwich and it tasted like something I make at home. Like it's the same seasoning. Like why? Except mine have better texture. Like what's the point? So yeah. But hell yeah, my fat behind's gonna go down there for those shapes. Guaranteed.
All right. And if anybody lives in Arizona.
Ew. Why?
Okay. Well, if anybody lives in Arizona, the Republicans have filed an emergency Supreme Court appeal to uphold the proof of citizen to vote requirements. The Republican National Committee and GOP leaders from the Arizona legislature petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday to allow enforcement of the state's proof of citizenship voter registration requirement for this fall's election. In 2022, the Arizona passed a law requiring documentary proof of citizen, like a birth certificate, passport, driver's license, or naturalization number, in order to vote. The Biden administration and other advocacy groups sued in federal court to stop the law's enforcement. Why would the Biden administration not want people to have to prove they're citizens to vote? Could it be they know that a lot of non-citizens are voting in federal elections? Nah, they wouldn't want that now, would they? Considering how many illegals they've allowed to enter the country over the past 3.5 years? A federal court ruled in September that the Federal National Voting Registration Act preempted state law and issued an injunction stopping the new state law from being enforced. They sought an emergency injunction at the Ninth Circuit, which at first ruled in favor of the registration law, but later backtracked and allowed the injunction to remain in place. So hopefully the Supreme Court takes this up in a hurry. Because there's no way in hell non-citizens should be allowed to vote. And with all the illegals that have come into the country over the past 3.5 years. All right. Where do we want to go? Where do we want to go first? Do we want to go to the...
Disconnected.
Do we want to go to the UK or do we want to go to the House of Representatives?
What time is it? It's only 10:30. We can do UK. Oh yeah, we should totally do UK.
All right, we'll do the UK first then.
I don't know at what point I'm dying, but the last thing I remember seeing was that if I were an illegal and I knew I wouldn't be making a lot of money because I'm an illegal and doing under the table, I'd still vote for Trump because he'd help my dollar stretch. So, yeah, Biden, you let me in. I'm still not voting for you. Anyway, continue.
Okay. UK police commissioner threatens to come after even US citizens like Elon Musk for exercising free speech.
I want to know how they're going to do that.
It's been a long known fact that UK's dysfunctional legal system likes to punish thought criminals. That's true. I mean, when they jailed a woman for praying in her brain, in her mind, she was silently praying in her mind across the street from an abortion clinic. And they arrested her for that. And she was convicted of praying in her mind. That's already problematic for those who value individual freedoms, but why stop at those who speak inside the borders? What must have been the most diluted and grandiose threat by sitting British state officials since the riots that consumed the country over the past few weeks? Chief of London's Metropolitan Police warned that those who have opinions on what's going on in the UK and post them on social media, even if they're abroad. That is what the man said.
Try to find me, motherfucker.
He was going to come after people who lived outside of the UK. Here it is. We will pull the full force of the law at people, and whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you. Then when the reporter asked about the likes of Elon Musk commenting on what he would do when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behavior from behind the keyboard who may be in a different country, being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offensive incitement, stirring up racial hatred, and there are numerous terrorist offenses regarding the publishing of material. All these offenses are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and yobs who are causing problems for the communities.
I don't get this. How are you going to go into somebody else's country and arrest somebody for committing something that isn't a crime in that country? That is some bullshit. I'm sorry.
Now, first of all, this here's that guy. I can't believe he's actually
We will throw the full
chief of
force of the law
police.
at people. And whether you're
Of course he
in
is.
this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard, maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the yobs who are causing the problems for communities.
That's amazing. And what he's looking at doing is wanting to extradite people. Now, can I link that? Okay, sure. Here is that particular article. There we go. I know they arrested Tommy Robbins.
Who?
Remember Tommy Robbins, the Brit who ran for office and lost? He did a lot of journalism within the Muslim areas where the Muslims are he showed how the Muslims had their own supposed police force out monitoring the streets and berating women who weren't dressed according to English women who weren't dressed according to Muslim law. And if they saw an Englishman with a beer, they would physically remove the beer from their hands. And he ended up actually ended up in jail, and they kept him in solitary confinement for a lot of time. He was in jail. When he got out, he was really emaciated. They damn near tried to starve him to death. You're welcome, Dizzy.
God.
So they just did another interview with him. He was threatened with arrest for simply being somewhere with a camera recording a Muslim parade. a Muslim march through downtown London.
Oh my God.
Simply, he wasn't saying anything. He was simply there with a camera recording it. And the police came up and threatened him with arrest if he didn't leave. Then they turned around and banned him from London and its suburbs. Told him if he entered even the suburbs of London, he would be arrested. They trespassed him from the city of London. But I mean, if you say anything about the Muslim community, especially in London, where the native-born Britisher in London is like 44% of the population now. 44, basically white British people is only 44% of the population of London now.
That's actually really super scary.
You're right. The capital of the country, it's only 44%. That's, and a large part of that since Sadiq Khan, I think, is the mayor of London.
Yeah.
He's been bringing in and Muslims left and right.
What he is?
The other day they had a unannounced Muslim parade. That was what they called it, right? And they shut down. It was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and they had to shut down like 70% of London, the streets, because of
people got to earn a living. Damn.
Well, yeah. But even ambulances couldn't get through. No, they shut down the streets to like 70% of the city. London and England has gotten so bent over backwards, bowing and kissing the backsides of the Muslim communities there. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Ireland, parts of I think Ireland is being invaded. There's a couple of towns in Ireland now that are like 60% Muslim from immigrants. These aren't these are people that have been they just been brought there and dropped off. Scotland is having a problem.
This is unfucking man.
Anyway, so here's this article though. Can London police extradite Americans for anti-Zahidi posts about the UK? The first answer to that is no, unless the U.S. abolishes or alters the First Amendment, creating dual criminality. The question whether London's metropolitan police officers and prosecutors can extradite Americans for expressing their views online about Zahidis and supporting of Sharia law in the UK brings up several important legal and ethical considerations. When considering whether the London police can extradite Americans for allegations of criminal activities, you're entering a maze of international law as an attorney. Extradition is a formal process where one country hands over to another country for legal proceedings. The process takes multiple steps and stringent requirements, making it complex. Many in the UK, especially South London, are fearful of insulting Muslims. The government invited to live among the native Brits. The government is afraid of another terrorist attack and has little respect left for the locals in the heavily Islamic areas. So the UK has clamped down on the natives, prompting riots and complaints about two-tier justice system. Locals are saying young Muslims have organized into rape gangs, true, and Homeland Security is afraid to be called racist for clamping down. Some locals say the police are supporting the Taliban government out of fear of a suicide bombing, which is also true. That has been leaked out by anonymous sources within the various police departments. And when we complain from across the pond, the chief of the UK police wants you arrested and sent to a UK jail. Now, just to show how stupid this is, a Sellafield worker, Lee Joseph Dunn, was given a prison sentence after appearing at Carlisle Magistrates Court for sharing 3 Facebook posts. Prosecutor George Shelley, this is in the UK, explained the post showed groups of Asian men with captions like "coming to a town near you after hopping off a boat, and when it's on your turf, then what?" One image even depicted men wielding knives in front of the Palace of Westminster. None of these posts incited violence, which should be the only threshold for jailing someone over their speech. But here we are tossing someone in prison for expressing a view. He shared 3 posts. Now remember, when they say Asian men in the UK, they're usually talking about Middle Eastern.
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking about Asian as we think of it here, you know, Japan, China, Thailand, Vietnam, Koreas.
They're not even bothering to say Southeast Asian anymore, which would actually, be more accurate. But nope.
No, so when they say Asian men, they're usually talking about Middle Eastern. He shared a Facebook post, and he got sent to prison for it. But, we in the United States, we're not a hell of a lot better.
Really not.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Okay. A woman who threw a racial slur in a black student's face over 200 times pleads guilty as the wild situation takes next step. A former University of Kentucky student who is accused of whacking a black student and using the N-word more than 200 times has pled guilty after mediation. A felony charge of 3rd-degree assault, was dropped. She's going to spend up to a year in jail and up to 100 hours of community service. We have hate crime laws here in the United States. And using the N-word, if you are not black and you use the N-word, that is considered a hate crime, plain and simple. But I tell you, I cannot remember any time that a black has been charged with a hate crime for using racial slurs against whites. I just simply can't. So we are not that much better when it comes to that. So, all right, guys. This is what you guys have been waiting for. I am posting the stream in chat. Okay, for this last hour and 10 minutes, let's discuss. Anybody wants to pop in can, as long as you have a decent microphone. Let's try to keep it on subject. Yay or nay about term limits on House of Representative members?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Tyra. I agree with you. Oh, I'm sorry, Tyra. Hey, Silvar, good morning. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. My apologies. I was trying to get through some of these other ones, some of these other stories that popped up this morning. And while I'm waiting on that, I got one more story we can talk real quick.
Uh-oh.
All right. And this here, MSNBC. Give MSNBC's Nicole Wallace some credit. It's been a solid week since someone on her show has talked about drone strikes against U.S. citizens on American soil. Okay, Tyre, you're with us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, give us just a second here. Let's see here. Wallace, an erstwhile Republican operative, has done well off the Lady Macbeth grift in the past few years. Each weekday on the Peacock's left-hand cable upstairs, she rubs her hands raw with pumice stone, trying to wash off blood that isn't there. If you track down the clips of her then calling then presidential Pete Buttigieg and anti-Trump kneeling national Megan Rapinoe, Anyway, on Friday's edition of Dateline White House, Wallace and her panel discussed national terrorism advisory system that warned some ideologically motivated violent extremists with objections to the exercise of governmental authority and presidential transition, as well as other false grievances fueled by false narratives, could be continued to mobilize, incite, or commit violence. That actually sounds more like BLM.
Yeah.
Than right-wing groups. Okay. But anyway, so let's see here. Legitimate threat. Wallace panel seized upon this, saying the bulletin described a persistent threat of domestic terrorism carried out in the ideology around the belief that the election was fraudulent, that the COVID restrictions were unnecessary. Well, we've all got issues like that. So if this is domestic terrorism, what do we do to actual terrorists like Al-Qaeda? We have policy controversial carried out in Bush years and Obama years, attacking terrorism root of going after and killing, and in the case of Anwar al-Awlaki, an American, a Yemen American, with the drone strike. So if you disagree with the left, drone strike. All right, Tyre, my man. I know you're on your way. I know you're on your way to work. So go ahead and give us your opinion, yay or nay, on term limits for House members.
Yay. I'm tired of these old ass fossils getting entrenched.
Okay, so why not simply just vote out your House member that if you feel that they've been entrenched? Why not vote them out? Vote someone new in.
The problem is you have to get 51% of the people to agree that they're useless. It's just easier to put a limit on how long you can be in there than it is to get 51%.
Okay, but 51% of the people in your area like your House member. Don't they have the right to have the representation that they want?
I agree, they do, but term limits would be the easier way.
But then you're taking away the right of that person, of those people, to have the representation that they want to have.
Not at all. I'm just saying that. So if someone like the president, what's the difference between revoting them after 2 times? Everybody likes them. People want them. We have term limits for presidency, so why not
Yeah.
for our lawmakers? So we have term limits for mayors.
Well, I mean, if you want to have a vote in your local area, all right, in your district, that you can term limit your representative, why not do that versus making a nationwide term limits to affect everybody? Why not have it that your district, your representative can only serve X number of terms?
I mean, that's a fair compromise, honestly. But I do believe it should be a nationwide thing. Like there shouldn't be. We shouldn't have people like Feinstein who literally die in office after 50 years of being there.
But okay, but once again, all right, we are a union of 50 states. All right, and each state is made up of its own communities. Each community in the House of Representatives has their own, votes for their own person to represent them at the congressional level. Shouldn't it be up to that district to determine whether or not they want to term limit their representative? Why take away the right of California? I forget what state you live in, Tyre. All right, but
I'm not taking away California's right or anything. I'm just saying that all right, it's like voter IDs. I think that should be universal, no matter what election it is, state, federal, local. You should have voter ID to vote.
Okay,
but
now voter ID.
That should be something that we all agree on.
Voter ID is to ensure fair and honest elections. All right, and if your unfair election in California at the will affect people living in Florida or Ohio. So, and to ensure that people are voting, that only legitimate voters are casting votes, especially for federal office, is the right thing to do. But if you live in the 10th congressional district of Ohio, well, that's okay, Tyre. Now, like I said, I understand the sentiment behind term limits for House members. For House and Senate. I understand it. People like Pelosi and McConnell, people like that have been in the House forever or in the Senate forever. They've forgotten a lot of them have forgotten what it's like to live under the laws that they've passed. And there's no way Pelosi could have gotten as rich as she has without being in Congress and making money off of the bills that she's passed. Well, Neil, I mean, I can remember where I grew up in Ohio was like that. And right now, here in this part of Florida, there's offices that no Democrats run for. Now, when I got here, it was no Republicans. When I got here back in the 80s, there's very few Republicans running for office. Most of the office holders were Democrat. And we had a Democratic governor at the time. So things do change. Things do change, but if people want to, if you want to, and I think this, I don't like the idea, and I've said this before. I don't like the idea of people in California deciding what's good for Florida. I don't like the idea of Florida deciding what's good for Maine. I don't like New York deciding what's good for Wisconsin or Idaho or Montana. Silmar, where do you say that? Voting is a privilege and not a right. Voting is a right for American citizens until you have it removed because you did stupid stuff. I mean, every American citizen at the age of 18 has the right to vote. And up until recently, it was has the right to vote unless convicted of a felony. And now a lot of states, including Florida, has decided to give felons the opportunity to vote. Okay, Tyre, again, if if you want to put restrictions, and I mean this in all seriousness, if you want to put restrictions on how often somebody can serve in a political office, do it for offices that you directly vote for. You only vote for your mayor. You only vote for your governor. You only vote for your senator. Unfortunately, I'd like to see that go back to the way it was. You only vote for your member of the House of Representatives. So if you want to limit your term, do term limits, then apply it only for the people that you vote for. Because I should have the right to vote for who I want for office. Somebody in California or New York should not be able to restrict who I vote for to represent me. Oh, Fury, now I definitely agree with that. Anyone who takes a public coin shouldn't be audited. Yeah, so you're right. And part of that reason, and like recently happened here, there was a couple years ago, there was a proposition to add a millage point to property taxes. You know, so anybody who owned property had their property taxes increased. Well, those who didn't own property but were renters all of a sudden started complaining on the news about how their rents went up. They couldn't understand that when the property owner had to pay more in taxes, that their rent had to be increased to compensate for that tax increase. Once again, Tyra, I'm going to disagree with you too. Voting is not a privilege, it's a right. It's a right that can be restricted only in the most extreme conditions. And that extreme condition being convicted of a felony. And remember, in some states, not all, in some states, though, those who are in jail can vote, which is that state's, that community's right to set up. As other states have the right to say, if you've been convicted of a felony, you only get your right to vote back if approved by the governor of the state. Okay, silver and tire. All right, that's not that the rights versus privilege discussion. That's a discussion worth having. And if y'all want, we can set aside one day next week, and y'all can come on, and we can have that discussion. What is a right and what is a privilege in the United States? I mean, yes, you do have the right to travel, but it's a privilege to drive a vehicle on the public roads. That's why you have to be licensed, and the state can take away your license. Self-defense is also a right. That's why we have the Second Amendment. Okay, and all right, now so far I'm going to have to disagree with you on that point. That driving should not. You should not be able to drive unless you meet certain conditions. That you've been through certain classes. So is out voting not the same? Yeah, you can walk anywhere you want. That's what I said. Travel is, yeah, you're right. Travel You can walk, you can get on a bus, you can, get on a horse, and you can travel anywhere you want to travel. But if you want to drive on the roads, that is a privilege granted by the state. And you can lose that privilege if you do dumb stuff like speeding, drinking and driving, where you put other people's lives at risk. Just walking somewhere does not put other people, you can walk drunk all you want. And as long as you're not walking down the road, you're not putting other people's lives at risk. But if you're driving drunk down the roads, then you're putting other people's lives at risk. And voting is a right under the American system, under the American Constitution. Voting is a right, it's not a privilege. It can be a right that can be curtailed if you have proven yourself through your own actions unworthy of that right. That you, unworthy is the wrong word, but if you have committed felonious crimes against the people, you've proven yourself not willing to live within the society, then you shouldn't have a right to vote within that society. So far, you can use that vehicle that you own on your own property without a driver's license, without tags, without registration, whatever you want. You can use it on. I grew up on a working farm. We had a farm truck that never left our property. It was never driven on the roads. And it was never titled, it was never tagged, it was never registered. Not to us. So you can drive whatever you want on your own property without a license. That's no problem. It's when you take it off of your property that now becomes a problem. But getting back to should House members be limited? I say if your congressional district wants to pass a rule saying that your representative can only be there for 2 terms, congressional district, that's fine. That's absolutely fine in my opinion. Or you want to say that in your congressional district that your representative that's going to go to the House of Representatives and in the Congress can serve as many terms as they are elected to, that's fine with me too. Because that is your representative. And how you want to choose your representative is up to you, as long as they meet the constitutional requirements. And I'm not, off the top of my head, I can't, off the top of my head, I'm going to look it up here real quick. let's see, constitutional requirements to be. Okay. Has to be at least 25 years of age, a U.S. citizen for 7 years, and an inhabitant of the state from which they are being elected to at the time of the election. So that's it. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and has been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. That don't make good sense. It should be, and who shall, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. That not there sort is thrown that off. So, and the reasoning why framers reason that 25-year age requirement would ensure members had sufficient maturity to perform their duties, while a 7-year citizenship requirement would allow foreign-born citizens to participate while ensuring they are knowledgeable about the United States and unlikely to be influenced to the land of their birth. Unfortunately, we got people like Omar, who just got who won her primary yesterday. I was so looking to her as another member of the squad to lose her primary, but unfortunately she won. Okay, Silvar, but if you're utilizing public property, all right, that's not private property, it's public property. So, there has to be rules in how that public property is used so that everybody must obey. Just like you have rules about how people can act on your private property, public property also has to have those same have rules to ensure the safety of the general public. That is why there are the requirements that you be a licensed driver to drive on the public roads to ensure the safety of the other drivers on the road. No, I'm going to disagree with you there. Licensed driving is not a violation of your right to own property. You can own whatever property you want on your property. If you want to own an Abrams tank and you got the money to buy one, you can buy an Abrams tank and ride it all around your property all you want. You just can't take it on the public roads. They're not limiting what you can do on your own property. Licensing and registering a vehicle to be used on the public roads, the licensing is supposed to help pay for the upkeep of the roads. And also to be able, when people are being stupid and breaking the laws of the rules of the roads, exceeding speed limits, et cetera, then, use as a way of identifying who owns that vehicle. Public property is owned by the public. You're exactly right, Silvar. And if you want to use the public property, you can't go out to a public park and just cut down a tree because it's a public park. Because then you're denying other people to utilize the shade of that tree. You can't go out to a public park and camp out on a picnic bench, unroll a sleeping bag, and live in the public park. When you drive that tank on the road, Silvar, that tank is destroying the road. It is causing damage. Now, if you're wealthy enough that you're going to pay for all the damage done to that road by driving that tank on it, and you're not going to take the public coin to repair that damage, well, see, okay, and Fury, if one member of the public disagrees with what you consider fair use, all right, that is where majority rules as to what is fair use of that public property. All right, and that's where when you vote for your local representatives, vote for your mayor, vote for your town council members, vote for your parks administrator, et cetera, all right, you're voting to give them the authority to make those rules. If you don't like those rules that you have voted for them to make, then you vote out those people. If you can't convince them to change the rules, then you vote them out and vote in somebody who's willing to change the rules. That's the nice thing about our form of government there, Silvar, is that there are protections to protect the minority. That's why we are a representative constitutional government and not a pure democracy. Now, granted, the closer we get down to the smaller forms of government, down to your city, down to your county level, become more and more a form of pure democracy. Like I just got in the paperwork for what's going to be on the ballot as far as local laws and such. Florida has got Amendment 3 to legalize weed. All right. Obviously, I'm going to be voting against legalizing recreational weed in the state of Florida, but it's going to pass because of South Florida. All the dopers and liberals are going to vote to pass legalizing recreational use of weed. But I'm still going to vote against it. My vote's going to be there. And that way, when Florida starts turning into California and Washington State and such, I can sit there and say, see, I told you so. But you can always vote out that member of your local, your representative, be it your mayor, be it your town councilman, be it your parks administrator. You can always vote them out of office. You can always petition them to change their minds on a rule. And if they get enough people complaining that they don't like a certain rule, they may change it. And if they don't change it, then you vote in somebody who will. Yeah, you're right, Fury. You are a parliamentary system, much like Canada is, and Australia. That Silver, that's why vehicles are licensed. That is why vehicles are licensed, because I don't know about where you live, but where I live, when I go to register my vehicles every other year, I've got to show proof of insurance, that I've got a way to pay for the liability for any damages that I and my vehicle may cause. Silvar, no form of government is absolutely perfect. No form is perfect. There's always going to be something wrong, something that needs to be, that should be, or needs to be, or could be improved. But when you make that tweak and you improve something this direction, then you cause issues in another direction. So I mean, I've got no problem. Now, if you in your district want to restrict your mayor, you want to restrict your councilman, you want to restrict your state legislative representative, you want to restrict your federal representative, that's up to y'all. You can do that within your own district, as far as I'm concerned. Now, whether or not it would survive court challenges is another, but I don't see why that wouldn't survive a court challenge, because they are your legislator. You should have the right to restrict them if you want. You should have the right to say, we want to ensure that we don't have somebody become so entrenched in our government, regardless of party, that we only want our representative to serve 2 terms or 3 terms. Now, you can't do that for your state senator, because sadly and unfortunately, state senators are elected by the entire state. So that would have to be the state making a constitutional amendment to their state that their senators can only serve X number of terms, 2, 3, or 4, or even one since it's a 6-year term. So, I mean, our government is not pretty. Okay, our government is not pretty. And going through the Constitution, there's a couple parts of the Constitution I wish the framers had not put in there. But they're there. The biggest one I have, let's see here. Come on, thank you. I've got to do a search here real quick. Constitution authority. Congress over voting. Let's see if I can find this here. Right here, okay. Known as the Elections Clause, Article 1, Section 4, Clause 1 provides for Congress and state legislature to regulate the times, places, and manners holding elections for senators and representatives. Under the Elections Clause, each state establishes how it holds congressional elections, subject to Congress adopting or altering state requirements, except as to the places of choosing senators. All right. And under that, Nancy Pelosi tried to take over local elections a couple years ago. And unfortunately, not enough people raised hell about it. Not as much as I liked. Because, they did have the congressional authority to do what was there under the Elections Clause. So, there's a couple parts I wish Congress or the framers had not put in. A few words, four words here, 5 words there, but they're in there. And I swore to uphold the Constitution, even the parts of it I don't like. And I swore that allegiance multiple times in my life. And I've never been relieved of that. So to this day, I will do my best to uphold to uphold the Constitution and to defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now, the best way for me to do what I feel is right is what I'm doing right now, having this discussion with people. You never swore that oath? So far, I swore that oath every time when I enlisted and re-enlisted in the military. I swore that oath. Most elected offices have that as part of their oath. Most elected, not all. Most police forces have that as part of their oath, but not all. So yes, I've sworn that oath many times in my life, well, multiple times, and I plan on keeping that oath. But you guys, this has been a great conversation. This really has been. I hope I hope y'all consider it as good of a conversation as I do. Because I until today, I had never thought about okay, who is coming up my yard? Got somebody in a red car parked in front of my car. Oh, FedEx. Okay, Spanky, come on, buddy, come on. Just had a attractive young blonde FedEx driver drop a package off, and she brought it all the way inside the fence instead of dropping it off outside the fence, which is great because it saves me from having to walk all the way out. All I just got to do is go outside my door instead of outside. Well, Tara, I'm glad you're enjoying this conversation because this is important. I really think that this is important that we, the people, discuss this thing. I really do think that that's important that we have this open discussion because we're not getting this kind of discussion from our Congress critters. We don't get this kind of discussion from other people. But if we discuss it, maybe we can build it off of each other. You vow to uphold the duty to the law and the ideals of office. Okay. Well, Fury, all of us, and I honestly believe that all of us hold a special, or should hold a special allegiance to our countries, to the nations that we live in. Fury being a Brit. All right. He should fight on a daily basis to make the UK the best country that it could possibly be. He should do that. Every member, every citizen of a country should make that one of the top priorities, to make certain that their country is operating in the best way possible. As a United States citizen, we should be doing the same thing. As a citizen of the state of Florida, I should be doing it for the Florida government. As a member of the county that I live in, I should be doing that for my local community, for my county. And for the local community that I live in, I should also be doing it for that. Trying to make it the best place to live according to the ideas that I hold. And under the Constitution. That's something and we all have different ideas of how this works. Now, unfortunately for like Fury, most of us here are United States citizens. So unfortunately, we don't interact with our government the same way that he interacts with his. So he's sort of left out of that discussion on our end. But we should look at what happens in the parliamentary system of UK, of Canada, of Australia. To see what can happen there and how that differs from ours. And I have to be honest, I'm much, if you're, please don't take this wrong. I know you're proud of your country, but I much prefer our system of government over the parliamentarian system. Now, the one thing I do like about your system is the question and answer sessions. And Canada, when Trudeau is called out and has to actually answer questions presented by the opposition. I love listening to those and watching them. Because sometimes while they're done in the most polite way possible, it still gets rather interesting and nail-biting. Let's see here. We're not supposed to be a nation but voluntary union in separate states. You're right, Silvar. We are a union of individual states. And too many times people forget that when they want to pass nationwide laws. That may sound good for somebody living in California or in Manhattan, but they get out to the rural lands of Ohio or Idaho or Montana or even up here in northwestern Florida. Those laws don't sound so good to us. I'm not so far right now. I would need to do some refreshing of and do some reading to refresh before I could get into the discussion with you about what all changed under the Civil War, because it's been too long. And I'm talking, probably a decade since the last time I did a deep dive into that of any kind. So my memory is rather hazy on a lot of the consequences before and after. All right, and I'm just being frankly honest. Okay, so I'm really not prepared for that discussion. Because I think a lot of it's much like the left when they proposed or used to advocate, the great swap where they claimed all the Democrats and racists in the South left the Democratic Party and became Republicans. When, to my knowledge, it was only one, but that's been a couple of years since the last time I've looked at that. Dinesh D'Souza did a wonderful series on that whole thing. And anybody that wants to get involved and learn about that, then, find Dinesh D'Souza's videos on it, because it was absolutely wonderful. Oh, now, Silvar, I fully agree. Our federal government is way, way, way too strong. And we've allowed that to happen by the creation of all the alphabet agencies under the executive branch. That's why when Trump says he wants to get rid of some of them, I'm sitting here cheering. I mean, the NEA is low-hanging fruit as far as getting rid of. But yeah, there's a lot of, the ATF is another one that needs to go. I'd love to see the ATF go bye-bye. I honestly believe we still need the FBI, but it needs to be a radical change, a major shakeup within the FBI, at least within the upper 3 levels of management. There needs to be a complete shakeup there. The IRS needs to be radically reduced. To quote Father Dungle, "Oh, I hear you are a racist now, Father." Yeah, I get called a racist. I get called that at least once a week. I get called a sexist. Well, not so much. I used to, when I worked every day at the hotel on first and second shift, I got called a racist at least once or twice a week. I called a sexist at least once or twice a week. And then, got called other names. And before COVID, and we didn't have the spit shield up, which we still have up. And the way I like it, I actually had when somebody started getting irate with me, I had an area marked that I'd go back and stand in that I would be out of spitting distance of most people, because I've gotten spit on a few times. Women are nasty about spitting on people. I got spit on by more women than by men. So, but yeah, there's it's the taxes on the alcohol and tobacco. That's what they were supposed to be for, to ensure that proper sin taxes were being collected. So, but anyway, I'm trying to see here. I was sort of hoping we'd have. Well, I did have to. Man, come on! What is this? Close this. Close that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can close that. Let's see if there's anything new that's popped up on Twitter that need to talk about. Yeah, Ilhan Oman won her prelims yesterday, unfortunately. So, oh, Gavin Newsom is lying. Gavin Newsom's out there claiming that energy costs are lower in California than Texas or Florida. Average kilowatt in California is 34 cents and it's 14 cents in Florida and 14.7 cents in damn. I didn't realize California was almost 28. Yeah, more than twice almost 3 times the cost of power here in Florida. That's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Uh, oh, Breitbart has got a news article here. So let me share this real quick. Right there. Fury, you're better positioned to answer that, but from what I've seen, I would definitely say the UK is not stable. I think the UK is about ready to fall to the Muslim immigrants. I really think you're within the next 10 years, unless something's radically done now, within the next 10 years, UK will no longer be the UK as it was. It's going to be under Sharia law. So that's just my weak opinion from across the pond. Come get me. Come get me, guys. I said something bad about your country. I said something bad about the Muslims over there. Okay. Breitbart News. A secret Chinese police station in the Twin Cities is tied to a group called Minnesota Global, which is a Tim Walz organization. Tim, here's a good question. Waltz was in the military for 24 years. How in the hell did he live in China and still maintain a security clearance in the military? How in the hell did he make all those trips to China and still maintain a security clearance? Let's see if there's something in this. Let's see. You can look China. Students were told by Waltz to tone down their Americanness when going to China. That's kind of odd because if you're having a cultural exchange, the purpose is to actually learn about the other culture. That's true. If you want the Chinese to learn about American culture, certainly you don't want to tell the Chinese come to America to downplay their Chineseness. In 2019, Waltz chose to give a speech to an organization that served as a front group for the CCP. This was a fact recognized for decades and was recognized by both Democrats and Republicans. Oh, he compared the Tiananmen Square massacre, where 10,000 people were killed by Chinese military, and said, well, you know, that's like our Wounded Knee in the 19th century. I'm reading this this article just come up, so I'm trying to understand it here real quick as we stream. Yeah, this is not the right thing to do, but I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, exactly. Democrat security, China. What's the problem? You're exactly right. Fury, I sure as hell hope so. I surely hope that you're far more stable than what it appears. But when your police forces are acting like they do in the city of London and such, in your capital city, then I mean I've got concerns. But you live there. I'm just seeing it from afar, from across the pond. So I hope you're right. I really do. I pray that you're right. I just like to really see you guys, do something about the problem with the Muslim influx you've got going on there. See, we've got our own problem here in the States. New York has Muslim patrols and vehicles that are marked almost identically. They use the same designs as the New York City Police Department does. But it's Muslim community, it's MCP, the Muslim Community Patrol. And why that's allowed, I don't know. I have no idea why that's allowed in New York. But their Adams and crew are real squiggly over it, and they allow it to go. So that in itself is scary as hell. Then we've got like Dearborn, Michigan, and we've got Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota just changed their state flag to one that's okay. Did I accidentally close that? Yes, I did. State flag versus. All right, here we go. Let me share this page here. Minnesota just changed their state flag. This is their new state. This is the Minnesota new state flag. This here's the Somali flag. Kind of Quit thinking about the way it looks. There's the old Minnesota flag. That's what it did look like. The old flag being sold on eBay for $250. You can still get it off of Amazon for $25. Get a small one for $22. But that is the new state flag. And Waltz was very happy, very proud to show that. Very proud to show that off. So, like I said, there is a Muslim problem in the Western world. There really is. We've got a Muslim problem here in the Western world. And if we're not careful, we're going to lose our form of governments. And Omar there has already said in speeches that she wants to turn the United States into Somalia. She's not here to represent American people. She's here. And when she made that speech, I was like, okay, we take away, she's a naturalized U.S. citizen. She's not a born U.S. citizen. She can lose her citizenship. So revoke her citizenship and send her back to Somalia. She wants to live in Somalia, let her go and live in Somalia. Revoke her U.S. citizenship and send her back. So, yeah, come after me. Come after me. Try to throw me in jail for what I've said. All right. All right, guys. Tomorrow we're going to try to do, hopefully Ramen will have her internet back up by tomorrow. But let's try to do the Friday Fun stream on a Thursday, because I will not be here Friday. Something else came up late yesterday afternoon, and I will be doing other things that I really don't want to be doing. All right? So y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. As always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. All right? Have fun, be good, behave. We'll see you tomorrow.